All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of What in the World podcast on this fine Sunday evening of March the 5th. Tonight with us, we have Duane Scott Cerny, who is a author, a humorist, and a vintage dealer. And we're looking forward to talking with him tonight about his experiences in dealing dead people's stuff. His website is selling dead people's things, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yep, sellingdeadpeoplesthings.com. He has a book by the same name and recently published as of June of last year another book called Vintage Confidential Retro Rattled Tales Tattled. So welcome, Duane. Thank you for coming on to our humble little podcast.
I'm happy to be here, and I think I just saw a black cat. So
Oh yeah, no, that was my dog. He's just
oh,
kicking it in the back.
still counts.
Yeah,
Still
we'll count it.
counts.
We'll count it. You're a cat tonight, dude.
I also have a black cat sitting behind me though. No joke.
There we go.
Oh,
She's sitting on a pillow back here somewhere. But
I
anyway.
I kicked mine out. I mean, literally, it's just behind the door.
All right. Well, let's see, Scott. How long have you been wheeling and dealing in dead people's things, their artifacts, their collections of stuff?
So since 88, 87, I was actually doing copywriting for anybody. You would hire me when you self-employed, and I would shop at this one antique store, this giant antique store here in Chicago, and kind of befriended befriended the wife of the owner, who was a bit of a chatterbox.
Uh-huh.
And her husband, owner of the mall, was a book dealer, and book people are crazy to begin with. So right there. Anyway, I would come in and I never really had any money, and I would just start talking to her, and she'd say, would you consider like helping us with our marketing? They're like by Wrigley Field. They should have all these people coming in and out, and
Right.
traffic is great. And I'm thinking, I could do that. I would love to do that. And she says, well, that's great. Come up with some ideas. And I came up, I thought, like short-term ideas, long-term ideas. But here's the thing. They had no money. And so she says, you know what? We can give you a booth in the basement. And this is I don't know, 60,000 square foot place.
Mhm.
And anything about like junking around, whether it be in a store or someone's home, you want to go in the basement.
Right.
Right. I mean,
That's where
like
the treasure is.
right?
So they're book people, they're broke, and now you're going in their basement. Do I have those three things right so far? Okay, just making sure I'm caught up. Yep.
Big store on Clark Street, though. 4 blocks from Wrigley Field. So great traffic area, and it's just bars all over the place. So a lot of drunks.
Oh yeah.
And that can be good in retail.
Oh shoot! If I was hammered in Chicago and I walked by a vintage store like that, I would probably pop in and see what kind of things my drunk brain decided it wanted to pick up.
I just came from my shop today, and it was funny because we had some stoners in, which happens. They were like losing their mind. But there was like a big tent, like there was that kind of cloud that came around with them.
Yeah.
Sorry, off topic. So they could only pay me with a booth, and I thought, well, I got to do something here. So I would just run around the thrift stores and try and buy stuff, and I was terrible at it. I really was terrible at it. And it got to a certain point where, I made some money, but dealers would just come and buy from me, and then that was it. I just couldn't really keep the booth full. And the woman who owned the store had said, I have this long list of people who are looking for booths, and I'm like, take the booth back. This isn't working. No, there's from Madison. He's been down, and he's doing this mid-century modern stuff. And even then, I'm going like, what is that? 1980. I'm like, and she says, I should introduce you. So she introduced me to him. Actually, I took a bus up to Madison, Wisconsin, and he was managing of this very cool mid-century store that was selling to dealers in New York and LA.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's like immediately
so some ritzy dealers. Yeah,
this is where you want to be. And I'm going, this is the guy. And we really hit it off, and he was funny. And I was like, hey, I got this booth. If you could bring stuff, I'm there. I can sell it because I'm better at that. And that's how the two of us got started doing this in just a 150 square foot booth in 1988. And then that place closed, and we opened up a Wrigleyville Antique Mall. We owned that for 8 years.
So
and,
So
Yeah.
that guy that you got partnered up with, you're the business partners now.
The business partners in it, and it was
Oh,
like,
what a cool story. That's sick. You just glossed over that like, oh, that's just how it started. That's a really cool story though. Yeah.
that's how I got started, and it's one of these things where going to sound like I'm tooting my horn here, but
No, please toot away.
I've always been good at like just spotting talent, and then if they're talented and then honest and decent and funny. Almost funny is almost better than
honestly,
being
yeah.
But,
Main ingredient.
I want to have a good time with somebody, and it was like, this guy is it. This guy is fucking fantastic. And then I had a record label back in the early '80s, and that was the same thing. It was just spotting, this person has it. This is it, and I've always been good at that. And even now, so the store that Jeff and I own in Chicago, which is Broadway Antique Market, it's 75 dealers. 20 of them at least have been with us since the beginning, which is kind of incredible. But
that's cool. That's a good batting average right there.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're all really good people. They're real good people, and it works because I did. And when it doesn't, it doesn't. Clearly,
Yeah.
I don't kick people out, but I'll still show them where the door is.
Right.
It's really darn matter of, are you selling? But I need honest, decent people with a good eye. People who just have a good eye. They know it, and it might not even be like my taste, and that's not important. But they get it in their own way, and then they build up an audience.
Yeah.
A retail audience for what they sell. So
sorry not to butt into your conversation here, but the more people that I meet, especially the more successful people that I meet, it's always kind of about that one situation in their life that was always like the byproduct of hard work. You know what I mean? And the old saying that like luck is the byproduct of hard work. It's hard work, but like in your scenario, when you just meet that one person and you're able to create something beautiful, like that's typically how that goes. You know what I mean? It's just one break, one we're all lucky in that way, in different ways, but that's cool to hear your story and how that crafted and how it was just kind of like byproduct of hard work. You meet the right person in the right time, and there you go. Now you have this cool antique shop in Chicago.
And I think what underscores that is the fact that when people are thinking about starting a business and it's going like, I don't have any money, I don't have the equipment, I don't have the contacts, all these things that they don't have.
Yeah, the excuses as to why.
You can find somebody else, as you guys have found one another in doing this, right? And that's the key. The other thing, then you got the tool, you can figure it out.
Yeah, right? yeah.
Or like you will. Then one of you going, fuck it, I don't know.
Yeah.
Which you're entitled to say.
Right.
Yeah, but that's it. Which is kind of squaring back to this. Selling dead people's things is about people. So, and when you watch, the best vintage show on television, it has been for decades, is Antique Roadshow. And it's, you want to know what something's worth. Yeah. That's the money shot. But it's that story.
The story behind the stuff, right?
Yeah. Why that show works.
No, 100%. My mom and dad used to watch that show like religiously every week when it would come on growing up. And then just some of the stories surrounding how people got a hold of the stuff that they have is like, dang, that's super cool. And then at the end of it, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, it's worth $500,000. And they're like, what?
You know who still watches Antique Roadshow?
Nancy?
This guy.
Oh, dang it.
No, I do. I love it. Whenever I can find it on public access TV, I'm like, yeah, we're going to see some stuff and we're going to hear some story. And I don't watch it for the value. I mean, the value is like the cherry on top. But the story, like, this laid in Nana's attic for 100 years. And I used to go up as a young little tot and go up and crawl up in her. And like, yeah. By the way, it's worth $1 million. And she's like, oh my goodness, sweet biscuits and gravy. I can't believe it.
Yeah, and it's always those old people that talk that way too.
It's great when they're genuinely surprised. Because there's other people that they've shopped it around every auction house, and they perfectly well. So they say it's worth, $60,000, insured for 75, and they're like, oh, thanks.
Cool. I got lowballed because I went to this other guy and he told me it was worth $100K.
Yeah. It's like you're not selling it to them.
Yeah, they're just appraising it and getting the story out there. Somebody will come pick it up later.
What I understand too, that's for the most part, and why it works, because that's a one shot thing. I mean, that's not a rehearsed show.
Yeah, it's all off the cuff. Yep.
Yeah, then that makes it, as we're doing it right here. So
Yeah.
there are no $1 million reveals tonight, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Those of you
Dang.
at
All
home
right.
who are
Well, thanks
betting.
for coming, guys. It's been a good podcast as always.
But here's the thing, though, again, about Roadshow is that, and it's taken a while, but they now show things from the 80s and even something from the 90s creep in, and really depends, especially if it's, again, maybe some artist who then had passed, but whatever. Some jeweler, somebody obscure jeweler, and for whatever reason, then they've really got some auction numbers. But that's reflecting, and I think this is important, because when this started off, it would be like, okay, this is an Amish chest, and I don't know, unless it was 36 double D, there's a lot of people who just wouldn't care about the Amish.
Right.
But to go and see, like, oh my gosh, it's a Noguchi coffee table, right? So, and here's the thing, because as this goes on, they will absolutely be, showing vintage T-shirts that are behind you.
Right. Yeah. Like, I can't wait. That'll be interesting to see. And like,
it's gonna happen, because it'll be, this was a touring band and they only made 10 of them, and got one of them, and whatever. And certainly the vinyl. The comeback on vinyl is that's been, a market changer. I mean, there are record stores now.
I know, right? Like, I couldn't. I've been into a few of them, right? And you go in there and it's all this, the classic stuff from like 80s hair and metal bands when they were still putting the records out and stuff like that. But now you can go into them, and like there's artists that I follow now that still, like, they're putting out vinyls. Like Logic, he's a pretty well-known rapper now, but he puts out his stuff on vinyl. All, like, every media platform that he can put it out on. And vinyl is one of the big deals.
And the thing that people don't really think about is that, not getting out there, but what I do.
Let's do it.
Okay, when you're pressing vinyl, or when you're creating something tangible, physical, right?
Yep.
It exists in a different way. And so we'll talk about this later, but it's like, think of this like just photography. Think about photography, and then all the photos we have on our phones. Mostly of cats and dogs. Right?
Yeah, right.
And I have a stepdaughter. I've literally found that all my photos now are my stepdaughter or my cats and my dogs. Like, and then every now and then one of me and my wife. Like, and that's pretty much it.
So when have you printed them?
We actually that's a lie. The only ones we had printed around the house were from a photo shoot with an actual camera.
Okay.
Which may help in your whatever. I'm not exactly sure where you're going with this, but I think I kind of have an idea, which again may help with what the point you're making. I'm picking up what you're putting down so far, by the way. Also, yeah.
Let me see if what I put down you might not want to.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I might throw it back at you, but we'll see. We'll see. All right.
Is the fact that when like an actual object is created, let's just stay with vinyl at the moment, or a book. You can listen to an audio book, buy books, anybody's books, right? But if you actually buy the book, you buy a book, right? Physical thing that then has a weird life of its own.
Yeah.
It has more meaning.
It does, and that's like how I prefer to read my books still. Like, audiobooks and stuff are cool, but I still prefer, when I do read, is a physical. I like the tangible thing in my hand to read and thumb through, rather than somebody like reading it to me or trying to flip through it on my phone.
Put it this way, like, okay, and it's great we listen to an audiobook and you listen to the audiobook. It's an audible medium, like, hello, right? But for somebody, the artist, the publishers, who put the creative effort into creating an object, a thing, just think about it as a noun. Well, let's just go
Yep.
Yeah.
as like it's just a thing, right? That thing goes on, pressing records,
Yep.
right? Great that vinyl came back because suddenly it's not about you can download anything on your phone with music, but when that object is created, that thing goes on. We're all thinking like in the present tense. Oh, the guy had some records pressed. Yeah, but 10, 15 years from now, for whatever reason, that thing gets popular, and there's an object that can be resold.
Yeah.
That thing, my point is, these things go on to have their own little adventures. Let's put it
Right.
that way. And right now,
What
we don't consider that, but the thing is an actual thing.
You're right.
what you're saying is that matter matters.
Hmm.
Right? Get it? Because it's matter. So
You
if
got
it's matter, it matters, right?
No, and I think in this
It's
day
a
and
really
age,
terrible
it's,
joke I just came up with on the fly there, Ben. I know you like that one.
it was
All right, stick around. There might be more.
super
Okay.
punny. He's here all night, folks. But no, I think
Live Sundays.
in this day and age, having those tangible things means more to people just because of how much we can just have on our phones at any time. So having that physical thing of something that you enjoy gives it more value to you as a person.
And think about when these things, and this is great. I'm looking at your abodes, right?
Yeah.
And
Is that what this is?
everything's there. It could just be a digital object,
Mhm.
and it may very well be at some point just some digital object, right? As opposed to like what that thing means to you. I always
Mhm.
say nothing got into your apartment by accident.
Right.
You
True.
inherited it, you bought it, you picked it up, you found it, you had a roommate who left it, you stole it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Jump in anytime.
Yeah.
But nothing got there by coincidence. And that reflects who you are. I mean,
Right.
in the colors that I'm seeing, the colors. The background, which is it's an actual background.
It is an actual background. I thought that it was. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, one little question answer in my head.
But
Okay.
space things and to find
Mhm.
space drapery is like, ta-da.
Yeah. It's cool.
Great.
But that says something about me because I'm interested in that, and I'm interested
Right.
in science and science fiction and the future and things like
Mhm.
that. But these objects define us. And what I find interesting though, because as I'm in the business of this, is that on any given weekend I'm selling a whole lot of stuff, and it's all these things that just
Mhm.
continue on their way, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And why is that happening? Is because that person is attracted to that object, and you could say, okay, it's a set of Texas square bowls, right? But she's buying it because that's her favorite color, or another one's going, I lost that in the divorce. It's my
Yeah.
favorite. He buys something,
And now it's back.
lost it in a relationship. You go like, well, there's a good reason to buy it.
Right.
Hey,
Or
now they're
legally,
yours.
or like it's art being subjective of
Mhm.
these things then go on and they have a huge impact because that reflects that person. That object brings them joy. My God, they're bringing it into their house. I mean, you can't think of, you can go out for dinner and you may bring home leftovers, but they don't hang around that long.
Right.
Right. And so that these things, and even things, again, to reference what, I'm looking at, how do you pronounce Mark
Yeah.
McWicky?
McGuire.
McGuire.
Yeah.
That is one Mark McGuire, one St. Louis Cardinal who at one time held the most home runs in one season. Redheaded first baseman, and growing up, guess who was a
Wow.
redheaded first baseman and a huge Cardinals fan?
Yep.
You need more
Fate.
connections to that?
Yeah. No, I wish I was like related to him because I would probably be in a much bigger abode right now. But that's okay. I'm not, and he just inspired me.
Well, this is the passion that matters.
Exactly.
I mean, wow.
Yeah.
So now I have none of that information other than what you just told. And I can
Yeah.
always put it on a tag, and we could market it later. But it means so much to you, that it's even has a place on the show.
Oh, it's
You're
signed
right.
by him. Yeah, no, it's signed by him, and I'm a huge Cardinals fan.
Next year
You
to say his
would
uncle
see
found out the medal in prison. I mean,
you'd see by that I'm a Cardinals fan, and then the other piece of information about me that's behind me, I got to go the other way, is I'm from Texas, so little Texas neon sign up
Oh,
there. But you're right, though.
right. But these things mean they mean a lot to you. They
Mhm.
mean
Oh,
everything.
100%. Yeah.
I mean, and again, some people go, it's who you are.
Yep.
Yep.
And it's how you then
100%.
define in the world. So these objects have incredible power over us, and that power goes on. That there's it's fascinating to me when I watch people shop, and I actually had many people say this to me, and here's the expression that spoke to me. You've all heard that expression.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
spoke to me. And they'll find themselves saying that with those words, and you go, well, that's not original.
Yeah.
Totally getting it, right? But there's an inherent thing to that. That's a
Mhm.
thing. It's not a coincidence. That's I always look at this as like can the supernatural be defined as nature showing off?
That's
That's
is that you? Are those your words?
Yes.
Or is that a quote?
no, I
Well,
like that a lot. I've never
That's-
thought of it in that way. That's
It is
cool.
a quote?
to quote, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Who's that
supernatural-
quote by? Do you know?
Pardon?
Who's that quote by? Do you know?
I said that's my quote. I
It's
wrote
his
Oh,
it.
that's your quote. Okay,
quoted
that
by
is your
Duane.
quote.
Quote by Duane.
Right, yes.
That's-
If you take it, you owe me a nickel.
That's beautiful, Dwayne. I will
He's
send
been in
you
copyright,
a nickel.
Alex. He
You
knows. He
keep
will
an eye
market
on
this.
the Venmos, friend, because every time I use that, I'll be Venmoing you a nickel.
It doesn't just they're not just words that sound good together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question for you whenever
Yeah.
you're ready for one,
Talk
because it ties in perfectly to what you were just saying. And I always have these questions written down coming into these interviews, and then the conversation goes where it goes, and I never get to ask them. But this is one that I wanted to ask you. I wrote this one down. Have you ever experienced, or have you ever had reports of some sort of supernatural entities tied to articles that you've sold, or articles that you know of, or stories of that sort of thing? Because I know that you see it and hear about it in supernatural phenomenon all the time. You know, this doll is haunted or whatever. And I don't, I truly believe that some piece of energy, however that exists in the realm of what we're dealing with, there is something that can be or potentially can be tied to a specific object. So I wanted to know if you had personal experience with that, or if what you've encountered in that world.
That's what certainly the first book is about. About a third of it are stories such as that. I do want to say, prefacing it, that because the people who do believe this in this happening, I also believe there's really good energy on things for most everything. So people
Yeah.
go. It's always because if I hear another haunted doll story, I'm gonna stuff myself.
I don't blame you.
Yeah,
I don't blame you one bit.
Imagine.
Yeah, there's haunted dolls, but so much of this is humans connecting. We see faces everywhere.
Right.
Laurie Anderson found it in a socket on the wall, which was brilliant. But we're attuned to, like, oh, there's a face. There's in a cloud, and there's Ariana croissant. I don't know, but
Jesus is on my toast.
Yeah, the Jesus writing, and there's showing the damn thing. So that's human nature to do that. But just to say, it's like, as far as energy, let's call it that. So and the other thing, I just saw a thing earlier about somebody had pulling a CD out of at a Goodwill, and they're filming themselves doing it, and then they caught this face and the reflection of the CD.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's on one of those paranormal shows, and it's like, those are believable because it's just something goofy.
Yeah,
it wasn't something
exactly.
He was at the Goodwill looking for a deal.
Yeah.
Oh, he wanted $3 for the CD, which to me was kind of spooky. But
right.
So yeah, I'll try to tell you this is the Reader's Digest version.
Okay.
Um, so we had a guy came in back. It was in Wrigleyville. This older gentleman came into the store, and he says, I got a desk I want to sell," and he's got a truck out front. And I said, "Oh, let's take a look at it." He goes, "Oh, it's Mission. It's going to be cheap. It's going to be cheap," and which is arts and crafts. So
Yeah.
1920s. So and what did he want? He wanted like $200 for it, and that's like that was free. Honestly,
Yeah.
that's a free price. Going, oh, I can make money on that, and so we drag it in, and I pay him, and he's I'm so glad to get rid of this, which is an
Hold on a minute. Now,
Yeah.
for why, sir?
And he goes, "Oh, check out the writing underneath all the drawers." Right, and out the door he goes. I don't know who he was.
He just drops that and then leaves.
Yeah, they drops. Well, listen,
Check out the writing. See ya. Like,
he's got cash. He's
yeah.
This is literally the beginning of a Poltergeist movie. This is like you could write this as the beginning of a Poltergeist movie. In fact, we'll chat afterwards. We got the whole pitch thing, so yeah. Well, maybe we'll craft something.
You're gonna craft your arts and crafts on this one.
I can't wait. Let's go.
So we put it in the basement. I think he had like $6.95 on it because you're gonna discount and whatever.
Right.
But darn it, if underneath this is a partner's desk. I should point that out. Smaller partner's desk, but arts and crafts Mission. No chairs. But so you've got this middle drawer that we can open on either side, right?
Right.
It's a partner's desk, right? But if you pull the whole thing out, there was this kind of just burnt into the wood, this story. There's this text. Text. And I would say it was like Hebrew hieroglyphics.
Okay.
Burnt into the wood?
Into the wood. Burnt
into the wood.
Wow.
The wood.
Okay.
And then, but it didn't really make any sense.
Right.
And without the other drawers, which didn't go through, that was the one you could share. Those were done the same way. This was taking someone forever to do this.
Right.
And now this is again early 90s. We weren't running around taking a picture every
yeah.
Burger King glass that comes through, right? So
yeah.
Which at the time would have been
glass.
It was like this is really cool, but we didn't photograph all this. So okay, I got to move this along.
Instagram in the 90s would have just been all Burger King glasses.
That's new.
No, I know.
So okay, so we've got two guys who worked up for us, who were just the best guys in their own ways. So, and they could not be more opposite. So one was white, one was of mixed race, one was gay, one was straight. One's this whole arty thing guy, and the other one's is like Mr. Corporate, right? And they did not get along. So, and I've got these guys, working together. I mean, they carry furniture, but that was about it. And they're both into the stuff, so that's why they're there.
Right.
So, busy Saturday afternoon. I'm upstairs. There's this screaming from the basement, and the two of them come running up the stairs together, and said, "What's with that fucking desk?" Sorry.
No, you're good.
No, swear away.
Yeah. And they said, "Okay." So while we're standing there, the drawers open up, and these little orbs of light started flying all around the basement.
Okay.
Bouncing all over the place. And this is a basement. There are no windows. It's all fluorescent light.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Nowhere. And then I heard the one guy said, "It's like they're looking for a place to go."
Okay.
And it was what? Now the fact that the two of them agreed that this happened is why I believe.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's a crucial part of the
that's
story.
That's a very crucial detail.
On a Subway sandwich from lunch.
One of them was not having a stroke. Like they were both, whatever they were seeing was happening. That's
So I sold the desk a couple of times,
and it came back.
It would come back.
Oh shit!
It was
no shit.
Twice. I think it happened twice. It happened once or twice, but I know it happened once. I I'm bringing it back, and I don't want to, and I'm not gonna. I don't need to say why. And I was like, you don't have to say why.
Yeah, don't. That's
That's
cool.
what I was. Damn it! I was just gonna say, would they tell you why they were bringing it back?
Well, this is just it. So no, they didn't. But I knew why.
Yeah. Well, you had your two guys.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Now it would be haunted, arts
Yeah.
and crafts, Frank Lloyd Wright inspired, blah, blah, blah. I'd go on. I'm not going to sell something that's actually haunted. I didn't pass it. It didn't seem like a selling feature to me. Let's just put it that way. So,
Right.
But fairly soon after that, well, the one guy quit, and the other one sadly had passed away.
Oh, damn.
And for the book, I interviewed him about that incident, and he wouldn't talk about it, which was even crazier.
He wouldn't talk
He just
about
didn't
it.
talk about it.
It's just.
It's just what he's like. Nah, that was a crazy experience, but I'm good. I don't need to relive it.
Yeah. I've repressed that memory all the way back here. That one's locked away, lock and key. Nobody's.
He's a really smart guy, and he probably has his reasons. So because a lot of stories in my book are, I either have permission from the families or they're documented stories.
Right.
So we're going to say these are close to ghost stories of real things happening. Don't ask me what happened. I don't know. But a woman comes in with her husband and buys the desk. And by that time, I think it was like $495.
Yeah. Well, now we have a cool pitch that goes with it. So now it goes up in value.
Yeah. Well,
I would have bought this thing so fast if I would have known.
Well, what are you buying? So this was funny. Because then I get this series of phone calls from this woman who was a little stalkerish, but is understandable. And she'd say things like, okay, I want you to know I'm not bringing it back. But I want to know what's with all the writing on the bottom.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know. I've never seen that. It's definitely folk art.
Yeah.
For somebody to do this, those panels alone would be just so artful now that I think about it. So, phone call after phone call. And then, was there any problems with the desk when what kind of problems?
Whatever do you mean, ma'am? I don't know any problems.
The drawer slides fine. No, I don't know what you mean.
It's a sturdy desk.
They were like an employee. I wasn't there that day. What day was it? So, finally, I thought, she's gonna bring it back. And I said, are the drawers opening? And she goes, yes, the doors have opened. And my husband and I argue about this. And she goes, we didn't understand. We thought we checked the level of the floor. We have a rug underneath it, and he's checking the glides. It's always the glides.
Yeah, always the glides problem. Give it the old shake.
Right.
Make sure it's level.
I don't believe in ghosts because of glides. There's always glides.
This poor old bastard is like, Margaret, why is the damn drawer open again? It must be the glides.
So
get out that level again. Level the floor.
Stop blaming that farting dog.
Right. The cat is smacking the drawers open again. Keep it out of the office.
So, but I'm trying to remember. I don't recall her having the orbs, and it really felt like they all came out in that basement, which doesn't surprise me. That basement had a real creepy
aura to it. Yeah.
Nothing to do. Maybe that's your poltergeist story there. So, they were selling all this. They're making and selling all this goth stuff, but in the 70s, in the 70s. So it's new. If you're around in the 70s, it was new.
Right.
But a lot of that stuff gets pretty creepy with the gargoyles and and that was all made there in that basement by the prior tenant. So it always I always thought that basement had a pretty weird vibe to it anyway. But we're not talking real estate. We're talking about a desk.
Right.
So, but her problem was the drawers would open or close on their own, and then she said they got used to it and they thought it was charming.
The spooky desk became charming.
Special. Yeah, it just became special. But there's the backstory on that was her grandmother had a partner's desk like that in her basement, and when she was growing up, they would play down there on that desk.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And this is very similar. So here, she's buying back her childhood. That's why she even bought it, or I'd still be sitting with it, no doubt. And that's the other thing that people do, is the things that you wanted as a kid and you couldn't get. Well, now you can just go online, or it's there.
Yeah,
Well,
that's why I have a whole bookshelf full of Star Wars figurines.
Yeah. Or you'll spend a lot of time looking for it.
Yeah,
If it's something really rare, it's the one that got away. I got a book of those.
right.
So there's your haunted desk story.
Not to tell another haunted doll story because I know you're sick of those, but my mother.
You're gonna have Duane stuff himself on live, dude. Come on.
Well, I'm gonna set the preference for this because there is. I've looked into this. I've done a little bit of research on it, and there is that stigma because dolls were so treasured. Especially if you think of all the people that are dead in our generation. I should say freshly passed away, maybe. Where dolls were so treasured back in those days, like a porcelain doll could, that could be one of your most prized possessions in the home because they were so expensive and you were supposed to pass them down to your kids and they're supposed to gain value and blah, blah, blah. And my grandmother had a set of those dolls. And my mom and her mom had a very tumultuous relationship. So I can't say it any better that this would be very like picturesque of that grandmother to like knock her prized possession down in the afterlife to show my mom like, hey, are you paying attention to these? Are you paying attention? That sort of thing. And she'd just be like dusting in her room and she had them set on this shelf in her room and they would just fall over. And it was kind of the same story where my dad would be like, not necessarily physically getting out the level every time, but like, what the fuck? Like, what's the deal here? Why?
I knew I put that thing in level when I put it up there.
Sit flat. Like, what?
Yeah.
I can't understand why they just fall over. And sometimes you just be hanging out in a room and that fucking doll would boop. Like, okay, what's the deal with that? How is that happening all the time?
What did they tell you?
My mom is a big believer in the supernatural, but she'd just be like, that's your fucking grandmother. That's your fucking grandmother. I'm like, okay, all right.
Cool. Hey, Mima, if you could stop knocking the dolls over while I'm chilling, that'd be super great. Thanks.
Well, and I know our listeners are probably tired of me saying it because I've said it 100 times. I grew up in a very haunted house in South Texas, like very, very haunted. That's a whole nother podcast for a whole nother time, but
which we've done.
You do not have to spend any time convincing me or talking to me about like supernatural phenomenon because I didn't really believe it growing up. Like I saw the ghost stories and you see the Exorcist and all that shit. It's like, okay, that's a fun thing to think about. And then it actually starts happening and you're like, okay, this is a lot different than just thinking about it. Like this is really real right now and it's kind of fucking scary. So yeah. I've had a lot of experience in that sort of realm, and I don't blame that one guy for being like, nope, didn't happen.
Nope.
Not talking about it again. Those orbs never existed. We're just gonna pretend like it didn't happen.
It also comes down to being receptive to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like, okay, it's grandma. There's the explanation.
Yeah.
Certainly it is, right? And that just like we're moving.
Right, pack the bags. We're out. Leave grandma here by herself.
Or she ends up in the Goodwill box and Splinter scares something else. But I think your mom and clearly yourself, if you're open to things and not just paranormal, though this is what we're talking about. If you're open to it, it's much more likely it's going to happen to you.
Right.
And all this like commanding things that should come to me. With the it's if you have magical powers or you're on a Ouija board or you're like the spirit world owes you shit. Let's start there.
True.
Right. I mean, I'm going to show up because this guy in Milwaukee.
That's another great
told me to just
quote.
Show up. Yeah, like nah.
Some people act like the spirit world doesn't owe you shit.
What was that?
Put that on a T-shirt. The spirit world doesn't owe you shit. I love that.
It's like, listen, once it's the Antichrist, you're trying to get rid of him. So
Right.
there's all these different people in between. And I love it. You'd be like, you're in the afterlife, and there's some idiots summoning demons. You're like, and they're like, well, we're all out of demons right now. Could you just fill in for me?
Right. All our demons are busy if we could get grandma.
It's just, and then we're supposed to go down there and knock around the dishes in his kitchen.
Yeah.
All that work.
Yeah.
We're gonna need a demon in Los Alamos, Texas.
You're on contract. We
Yeah,
got to
we're
start
gonna
messing with
need
these
one.
people.
There's like a dispatch center. Like, yeah, we're gonna need you down south for this next one.
Yeah. Have you done any graveyard work?
Ooh, you pulled the graveyard shift.
Ooh.
Tough.
No.
That's tough. It'll look good on your resume for later, but this is kind of entry level, so better get after it.
It's like Monsters Inc.
I think that resume in the afterlife would probably be a little skinny.
Yeah. So what did you do for the past millennia? I stuck around one house in northern Idaho, and that's where I've been chilling.
I got 12 kids. Not a bad start.
Casper the horny ghost.
Oh Jesus.
We digress.
Yes, we do. We do.
We do indeed.
Forgot
So
how we even. Oh yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
no, you're good. So I know you kind of gave your story earlier about how you and your business partner got together. What initially drew you to kind of wheeling and dealing in vintage and like selling old people, like dead people's stuff? Because I know you started out like you said, record shop, copyright stuff, and then you just kind of through meeting people.
So I can go back to being like 7 or 8 years old, and I had a business, and I called it the Porch Store. Terrible name because people thought I was selling porches, or did I refer?
What is this 8-year-old gonna do? Build me a porch? No way.
Come in looking for a contractor.
The toys from the kids in my neighborhood, and I basically consigned it.
Yeah.
It was a consignment store for kids' toys, and you're not playing with that.
Give it to me. I will sell it.
Sign it for you, and I would sell it for them, or they could trade for other toys.
Okay.
So anyway, that was like 7, 8. I made a little money, and my mother was like, "Back it off."
I pictured Duane
Stop stealing
wearing
neighborhood
those
children's
same,
toys.
I pictured Duane wearing those same glasses as an 8-year-old. Like, hey, you're not playing with that. Come on.
Blind as people could be passing me, 20s. I have no idea. And in high school, so that was just a thing. I just would read a lot. I was always fascinated with like the history of department stores.
Okay.
And the history of, I don't say really like retail. There was an antique store. They unearthed an antique store in the ruins of Pompeii. So this business has been around.
Right.
Yeah, that's very
sure. That's
interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, me neither.
So this is, and you can just go on throughout history. There's just always it's been like, okay, resale has always been here.
Right.
It's just falling at something else. Right.
Mhm.
And now this is great because, well, it's green and it's earth friendly and it reduces your carbon footprint, and unless you're a size 7.5. There's all kinds of, you can just spin it that way, but it's still, it still comes down to resale. In high school, tell this one quickly. So my father worked for basically a contractor from division of Playboy.
Okay.
But they were all on the production end of it. And my father was a photo engraver and worked on, it was all processing the film of the models. And so my father would talk about it. He was a really shy guy, just a very gentle person. And then this is what he's doing. But it was a big contract, and this is how Playboy magazine got started with. What was it? Rogers Graphics or whatever. Until they got rid of
your dad processed photos for Playboy.
Playboy, yeah, but
that's fantastic.
Would they these? So on occasion, he would bring home these to me, large formats. I'm going to go 11 by 14, right?
Yeah.
Of this, and my mother would have herself a fit.
Oh,
And it would be what I was able to do because this is before computers.
Mm-hmm.
So, and photo engraving, what I know about is just what I've read about it. And, that's an art.
Yeah.
And a lost art. I mean, now there's software for that, but.
Right.
So anyway, the one time he did that, my mother had herself a fit and threw all these photos out in the garbage. And I got up in the middle of the night and took the envelope, and it was really the last thing I wanted to see. Put it that way, just because I couldn't tell the difference between Miss March or Miss February, except for the size of her breasts.
Right.
One could hold up sizable tchotchkes on a shelf. I was unaware of who they were, but that's a whole thing about obviously who they were. So it's like, how can I make money on this? So, I always say I took down all my Broadway show tune posters in my locker and opened up. Basically, it was like the Playboy store. I would trade kids these photos for Playboy magazines. So it was like, I want 10 Playboy magazines for, but then I'd start by selling the small ones.
Right.
Yeah.
7s, and she's like, yeah. And I don't know, I probably had like 40 or 50 of those. But then I got all these magazines, which were much more saleable.
Right.
I was just gonna say much more valuable.
Valuable.
It was much more wanted in that I could just. So I was trying to find somebody to pay all this, top money for these photos, which top money in I'm a 17-year-old in a high school. What's the retail market there?
You were 17 when.
Yeah, 16, 17. Yeah.
Gotcha. Sorry, I had myself on mute there for a second. But okay.
And here, I'm the worst person to be selling that. I mean, the last,
Not really interested in the Playboys at that stage of your life.
No, but I realized it was a great way to manipulate people.
Oh, for sure.
Yes, 100%. Most people would say, "Oh, I don't want these. Stay in the garbage."
So
young Duane was like, "Oh no, friend.
No! I'm about to make a bag.
See money. I see money. Let's go."
Young men who suddenly wanted to talk to me.
All the guys that bullied you, all of a sudden, were like, "Hold up, Duane has the stuff."
I've got the stuff. So they ended up liking me. I was just like, great.
Swirlies were a thing of the past.
Right. I don't anymore. And there's a really funny story in the latest book about that. What's funny and disturbing, but as well it should be. Different ways to get beaten up in high school. It's just a booklet now.
I'm just waiting for the dumb ways to die trend music to come from TikTok over this whole segment.
So again, even a longer answer to a shorter question. My retail interest in, it's like every 8 years I had to go back to vintage. Well, I realized it was a way to make some money.
Right.
It was like, but it's how to do it.
Mm-hmm. Did you just cash out on the Playboys then? Just sold the Playboys? Just straight cash? Yeah.
I had all these magazines.
Well, you probably doubled your money or tripled your money.
Mother.
Easy.
And Hammy, hi.
I did really
muted in here so that I could
I'm
talk to you guys.
Like I made $1,000. It was a lot.
That's that genius entrepreneur spirit, man. I'm telling you.
And here's a lesson though. But so sometimes you got to sell shit that you don't even like.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's okay. But you should still have respect for what it is. Know your product, and believe in your product. But the thing with that was those sold themselves because I learned then again how important it was that Barbie Benton or who the fuck knows, when it comes to mind, it's probably earlier than that, but again, Miss June, Miss June, was it 83 or 84?
The people get crazy about that mess.
Yeah. So
Our
70s.
guys in Brussels, Belgium right now are probably typing in Barbie Benton to their
There's going to
Google.
be an
They're
uptick from Brussels of 7 concurrent searches for who Barbie Benton is.
Once again, shout out to those 7 dudes in Brussels that listen to us. Those guys are the
Okay, well,
MVPs.
if gentlemen, start up your Venmos. Give me your tip back, right?
100%.
Apparently, I'll just be here on your fundraisers from now on. Then.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'll just link you.
Yeah, we'll just we'll just have a link, and then a portion of it will just go directly to you.
Right.
I do have another question that I wrote down that I really want to ask you. And it's a more simple question. What is your favorite piece, or maybe the piece that you most were like, man, I really want to keep this, but you had to sell it? Like what's the most favorite thing you've ever sold?
That's a hard question.
That would be my hardest, because while you think about that, my wife and I kind of pride ourselves on all of the decorations you'll see in our house. You won't be able to like walk into Hobby Lobby and see that. We have a ton of old stuff, thrift shop stuff. My wife just picked up a couple new pieces, like $5 items or whatever, a couple new things. And my brother came over last night, and he immediately spotted them. He was like, "Oh, when'd you get this? When'd you get this?" And like you were saying earlier, they kind of have like a gravitational to them. Anyway, if I tried to do what you do, I would have so much shit. I would not be able to sell it, or maybe I would be able to after a certain point in time. Favorite piece, hardest thing to sell, thing you wanted to keep most but ended up having to let go of.
And he prefaces this with this is an easier question. You're early elements. The time it's going to take me to get.
You just
I thought
you
there
said
would
it
be-
was
I
simple.
thought
You
there
handed
would
this
maybe
man an
be, like-
onion.
Like the one that got away, like the one.
That's that. There's the one that got away.
Oh,
Right?
okay, we'll do that one then. Yeah. What's the one that got away then?
We'll start there, and then we'll just go down the
Yeah.
list.
Yeah.
And then I want to hear yours. So
Okay.
It's gonna be all about me. I know that's
Yeah.
Works for me. Works for me.
So it's just open up the store one day, and the dealers had been in the night before and restocked. And I run that at that time we weren't that big; it was all on one floor. It was 3 stores that connected. But anyway, and they just run through and turn on all the case lights, and there's this water pitcher that I didn't recall seeing there before. And so silver plate, small,
Mm-hmm.
not a teapot, but not like a giant pitcher. So just
Right,
like
just in between.
7 inches, right? Old, clearly, but like, and it looked like steamship. I don't know. Gonna be my guess. And open up the store, and maybe an hour later, a guy comes in, and you see where this is going.
Right to it.
Walks around, and I don't want to knock the guy, but it's my story, and I'd knock him anyway. It's just one of these doop 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 doop. Because cars, he can walk down the street and cars just don't hit him. They just don't, and they. Anyway, he comes up to the counter with this fucking pitcher.
You son of a bitch.
Wait. Turns it over, right? And he says, he goes, "This says the Lusitania." Right?
What?
Yeah. How? And again, how can this be from the Lusitania, right? Because I mean that went down in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. So somebody had lifted this off the ship before that happened.
Wow.
So that's really as good as having a good. Well, I'm just generalizing, but a comparable piece to something from the fucking Titanic.
Right.
Yeah.
Rarity. And then they're going like, and I'm the kind of person, I gotta sell it to him. I have to sell it to him.
Yeah.
How many times could I say that?
Yeah.
Stop strangling him.
Right.
So he says, "Do you have anything else
From the Lusitania, like, brother, I didn't even know it was from the Lusitania.
Yeah, they're in the last aisle on your left back there. All the Lusitania original pieces from the yep, they're all
Yeah.
right back last aisle on the left. Yep.
It's the Lusitania room.
Yeah, there's a booth back there with all the
Yes.
other stuff.
Well, they nail you into, and you will never be seen again.
Just leave the picture outside before you go. I'll keep it up here for you.
I've sold some things I've gone, you know, I sold, there was a thing today I absolutely would have snapped up. You know, thanks for reminding me.
Sorry about that.
But that's something where people always want to talk about money, and I'm going
Mhm.
like, I've never even I don't even want to know what that, you know, what that could have been worth.
Oh my
And what is
goodness, yeah.
so, but he got it for $45.
Wow.
So just
Just wait, you'll see it on the Antique Roadshow next week, probably.
yeah. Well, but we've had stuff on there that hasn't been mine, but things that we've to other dealers that have ended up on there. Well, we prop a lot of TV shows and films, and always have. So it's funny. There was a coffee table, which was just a nothing of a coffee table, just like a 1950s blonde, kind of Lucy kind of coffee table, right? That they'd have, and I don't know. It was probably like $125 or $100 or something. We could not sell that thing, but they kept renting it.
What?
So it was in half a dozen commercials. They were completely unrelated. It was just, they'd always just gravitate towards this, you know. And finally, the last time they rented it, they broke it, and it was just, we're done.
Just keep it at this point.
We have made so much money on this. Well, so you know that, you know, nobody asked for that. I don't. Anyway, you're going to tell us your story.
About the one that got away?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily. There was one time I was in a thrift shop, and I like to collect old like Jim Beam bottles. Like Jim Beam did like a decanter series. I'm sure you're familiar with. And I saw one in a thrift shop one day, and it was really cool. It was the elephant. They did a Democrat and Republican, and it was the elephant, and they had it priced at like $20. And I was pretty young and poor at this time, and I'm like, oh man, I don't think I want to spend $20 on that. And I go home and find out what they're going on online, you know, for like $100 plus.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck. And I went back the next day, and of course it was gone. And that thing still escaped, and I can buy it online. It's not that big of a deal. But I found, actually, my dad gifted me the donkey one, but I still don't have that damn elephant. I'll find it one day. I'll find it one day.
It may turn up.
It may.
It'll come back around.
Or just the donkey's head next to you in bed.
No, but literally, if you look around my entire office, my whole house, it's pretty much all stuff from either like thrift shops or antique shops. Like, my wife and I really like the old stuff, and it has a story, and it's unique, and
Well, yeah, you make my point, because it's you.
exactly,
Yeah.
100%.
Like, that's the stuff that I look for. If I ever am, you know, just out and about, and I'm like, I get a wild hair, and I go to like, you know, antique store, something like that. I usually try and find the booth that has all of like the vintage Star Wars stuff in it, because I love like Star Wars. I love Star Wars, and there's been times where I've found like some super like cool like old vintage like still in the box, you know, like the die cast keychains of the characters and that kind of stuff, and never picked them up because I didn't have anywhere to put them when I got them. So then I would, like, you know, I'd never go back to the store, and gone forever. Never had another chance. I did, I think once. I think I have it sitting up there somewhere. I have a die-cast like R2D2 keychain, still in the box, but I got it from a buddy who I was watching stream video games on Twitch. He has this. He goes around and kind of like looks for Star Wars paraphernalia, whether it's new or old or whatever. And he had one of those, and I had saved up enough of the rewards points or whatever in his channel that I finally snagged that one. So I have that sitting up there, but I haven't found anything, you know, recently to kind of add to that collection. But I have a whole bunch of stuff like that. But yeah,
I mean, you could just tell by the way you express yourself, how much this means to you.
Yeah.
It's you know, I know it's there's really no other word as you're saying it. It's lovely. It really is, because it makes us very human, and it's just appreciation. And the other thing too is the hunt.
Yeah.
Reference the hunt a couple times there. Not using that word, but that's the, you know, and
That's what it is. Yeah.
the Jim Beam decanter. It's just
Yep.
it's on the hunt, and when you were on the hunt, and then it's like, oh, what is, like, I didn't know I wanted this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You don't even know you wanted it because you didn't even know that thing existed, and then you see it and you go like,
I gotta have it.
Yep.
you know, it's a penguin ice bucket, and there's one every 10 feet basically. Baby of the 50s that was more successful. Penguin ice buckets. It's the
Beanie babies.
wedding gift. Like, here, like re-gifted. You know, the stuff that they were re-gifting.
Yeah.
I totally embrace the collectible nature of this conversation. So I'll tell you a story about one that didn't get away, but somebody else didn't get it. So I was in a big mall in California. It's like way suburban San Francisco, like out, and it was a really nice mall. And I glanced in a booth, and there's a woman who's holding a Star Trek domed lunchbox. So like the original one.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I'm going like, shit.
I have to have it, lady.
Well, and at that point, we really big into lunchbox business. That was one of the things we were selling, again, before the internet. So, and always a great seller. And the one wall here, that booth in the basement, should go back to that, which then became 6 booths.
Right.
And we rented because we could afford to. So we had a good quarter of the basement, and one whole wall was just lunchboxes. So, you know, 50 lunchboxes, and then the better ones we'd have locked up in a showcase. Right. So
yeah,
whole income stream just for lunchboxes, and we buy out collections, and so that was really how we got our start. And then we did kitchen sets, but that's another story. So here's this woman, and it's like, she puts it down. Oh my God, she put the lunchbox down. So wait till she leaves the booth. You gotta wait till they get into the very next booth.
Right. Yep. Give it a little bit of space to breathe.
Exactly. This is African safari here. So
yeah.
Listen to us when you say make sure the competition, is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I make a beeline for that, and the thermos is in it, and it's like,
you get the whole set.
It's $145. So this is even then a grand 12, something. So 10 times the money. Easy. So I trot my stuff up to the counter. Things. Please go with my things, and you just know where this is going. So 20 minutes later, there's a big ruckus
at the front. Oh no!
It's that woman who's like, I was looking at that, and I was going to buy that, and she said, "Well, you're not that short little guy who brought it up here." Which I loved. I have to be short. I'm a short little guy. Like
insult to injury right there.
But you know what? I don't care how small I am. I am leaving with that fucking lunchbox.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
So she's trying to. So this old lady's trying to, muscle her out of the lunchbox, which she, of course, she wasn't going to do.
Right.
But then again, if this ever happens to you, stay away from the counter. Don't go anywhere near it, because it's not going to get any better. So just some advice. That paid for my entire trip. Paid for my entire trip.
Nice.
Wow.
That's awesome. I did have a question. My mom texted me, and she wants to know, because she has some like antique stuff from like her family. She wanted to know if you knew like what you know about like Depression glassware, so like the Depression era glassware, and how to sell it. Apparently, that's what she wants to know.
Well, yeah, I love your mom, but talking about Depression era glassware is really one of the most depressing things I could think.
It's in the name, Mom.
It's in there's this. She should turn it over, and is there a number for the suicide hotline? No, not kidding. I'm gonna grab some water.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my.
Uh,
Oh.
sorry, Mom. That's the best you're getting for depression glassware.
Sell it to Duane.
Yeah,
I'll
just
buy
sell
it.
it to Dwayne, and then he'll flip a. She said, "Yes, I know, but Mom needs a boat."
Antique Roadshow.
No. We should let me. It's great. Thank you for texting in. Frequently asked questions because they're
Yeah.
so dark, right? And I think some people don't remember that dinner like that was given away.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're giving stuff away, there's really going to be a lot of it. And it was very much of a premium item again back in the day. So you're going to say free store in the 20s and the 30s or whatever. So there's just like a lot of it. It's probably two ways she can go. Is doing a complete inventory of what she has. So because you want to sell all of it together.
Right.
Not like, well, I'm willing to sell a cup. No.
Yeah. Well,
Comes
Mom's trying to buy a boat, so she'll sell all of it.
she wants a. Well,
She's just trying to get extra money here and there. It's going to go in the boat fund. So
selling Playboy magazine.
Am I missing something? Is like Depression era glassware, is that like a popular thing people sell? Is that like a
That's the.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if I was missing something there.
No, you're not missing anything. You know what we're missing is people willing to buy it. Apparently,
that's the missing piece. Is nobody wants it now.
No. Again, honest answer. She needs that. So put it together as a collection, and she could photos sell things, and send it off to auction houses to see if they'd be willing to take it. Otherwise, it's finding some friend who will no longer be a friend with you in the future, who's willing to put it on eBay as the lot. As the lot.
Okay. Yep. There you go, Mom.
Yeah, and going like I kind of get an offer, take it.
Yeah.
So, you have to, like if there's some sleepers in there, you've got the rare creamer that was only made in 1927 between August.
Yeah.
And that's the one with the initial that who knows, but the anal retentiveness of people in what they collect is a thing as well. So let somebody discover that in an auction or a lot, and you actually might do well with it. So
there you go, Mom. eBay or send it to an auction house, or your third option is once you get the boat, just chuck it off the boat and don't think about it anymore.
And this kind of ties in with one of my questions. How subjective is the value of something? And I'm sure extremely subjective, but do rates basically get set by the demand? Is it all just like a supply and demand type thing and like a bidding type auction? I guess if you got a Star Wars lunchbox from 1965, how would you be able to say, this is worth $1,100 or this is worth $21,000? I've always wondered who determines value in things, and I guess the supplier and the demand would
I think
set that value.
Yeah. So no, you got it. I'd say the market does, and in that, if you just look at it kind of in reverse, in that there's sites you could look at whatever is sold on eBay, marked sold. You only look at what he sold for, not the ridiculous money laundering objects.
Right.
It was a thing today I saw. It was $144,000. I can't even tell you what it was. So I don't know what's going on.
Don't put that glassware in the chest, Mom. I don't want the glassware.
Fabulous.
Do what you will with it, but do not put it in that chest.
Looking at what things have sold for across the spectrums of other auction houses, and I think eBay, but they may be proprietary. I don't.
Kind of like a Kelly Blue Book of auction items or whatever. Yeah.
So it puts it all together. We got this number from this one, from one website or another website. But I also think it reflects trends. And even on Roadshow, I see that. Well, you know what? When something is not worth as much as it was in the prior estimate.
I know. I've seen episodes like that where it's been years between, and they're like, well. Yeah.
They do.
This used to sell for this, but the trend is no longer. People aren't collecting this thing anymore. Yeah.
So I mean, it's bad enough you're losing money, but the duck has to like show you the door.
Well, and I used to love Pawn Stars primarily when I was like in college and had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And it always used to, and I always thought it was probably more like for cinematic value than anything. But some of those guys come in and are like, I'm asking for 15,000 for this World War II, whatever. And then they're like, man, that's worth like 2,500, at most.
Yeah.
And the such high expectations versus the demand, and like, yeah, that guy probably saw one of those sell on like eBay for that price, or
Mhm.
because somebody got duped into it or whatever. But it seems so subjective. Like, and I guess it would just get set by the market. What people are willing to pay for it is basically.
Yeah, and it really depends what it is. It's going to sound like a a little a bit of an excuse, but you look at something that's just mass produced.
Yeah.
I mean, an example like
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Michael Jackson's Thriller, and they'll go,
Yeah.
"Why is that only $6?" Well, because they sold 40 million of them.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Go back to the vinyl reference, but then there could be some obscure jazz group that was only together for until they ran out of drugs, and they only 3,000 records. But one of them went on to be a genius, and the others
Right.
overdosed. Whatever. There's some
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yep.
you go like, no, that's the one. That's the one that you would want. So, but it depends what I know what you're asking, but it's like if you get into like art,
Mhm.
it's original art versus just a signed print or signed and numbered print. Though that's a big people
Big
just
difference, yeah.
signed and numbered prints are like a big deal, which is smart actually, because it's the affordable art that it's going to be worth it. But just my point is you see these trends, and so some things just. I'll give an example. Unfortunately, Higgins glass is something that has lost its popularity. It's just a fused 50s glass, different colors. They make these giant trays, and they're really cool. They also made these rondelets, which are round pieces of glass, and then they're all hung together like in screen.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's a husband and wife that made these. They would sell it at the Old Town art fair in the 60s here. So this is basic artisan stuff, though. They opened it out. They made a lot of it, and they're selling it to department stores, and so it's trickled into resale. Well, again, 5-10 years ago, it always sold.
Not
Not
so
so much
now.
They want that kind of Blanco glass, that I Dream of Jeannie type glass.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can't keep that in. So it's people say, oh, there's no interest in glass. Depends on what kind of glass.
What the glass is, what the trends have set. Yeah.
Basically, what you're saying is there's a lot that goes into it.
It's what is it? And
exactly. Yeah. No, I 100% get what you're saying.
And like you said, there could be, if you get an auction, whether it's eBay or the real world. Okay. No doubt. You ask about Twitter. Apparently, there's your answer, right?
Oh God.
Yeah.
The collective genius mind that Twitter is.
But it only takes two people to make an auction, and then you got so. But let's give a boost to the fact that retail and resale has really come back since the pandemic, and people recognizing the value of supporting
local business,
or St. Vincent de Paul, or every community is different, church thrifts and things like that. But this stuff has to come from somewhere. So, and the thing is, as it trickles up, and even trickles up into my store, it's a deal. I mean, I'm very confident in everything that we sell, that basically this is a deal. Is that you're not going to find another one in the same condition at the same price. Put it that way.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at the Democrat or Republican Jim Beam bottles, right? When you're finding it, you have no competition. You could have bought it, and that's why you're kicking yourself now. Whereas if it had been online, you might I'll go to 25. Screw this guy.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So it's the dynamic of it, and I always find that interesting because when there isn't competition, then you're on your own. You have to make up your mind, are you buying that or not?
Right.
Yeah.
Walk away from it. Who's watching you when you're shopping? And when
Right.
you're looking at the Star Wars
Yeah.
pieces,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna put this one back, and 10 minutes later it's gone.
Yeah. Which I've
so-
had that happen too, walking through antique store.
Those both
Drop it,
they're watching you.
make
like
my
the
way back
Safari
around,
Jungle.
just be like, because I was thinking about it more, and I come back and it's gone. I'm just like, how? It's been 5 minutes.
Yeah. So the ones that got away, there's a song there.
For sure.
Legitimately, there sure is.
Let's see. Oof.
Well,
Damn, that flew by. We're about we're over hour and 15.
I was just gonna say we're about there.
We're about there. Chat, you guys have any questions off the top of your heads right now for Duane? And while you guys are thinking that, Alex, I think it's time you hit him with the question that we started last week.
Oh boy, this is a heavy one.
And then I'm gonna have to
Duane,
I'm gonna have to get a
Jay.
whiteboard and start ranking people.
I know. I've asked people, or actually just our
There's a competition.
Yes, so now there's a competition.
kind of
Like I
yes.
was paying attention. All right.
No,
Well, no, they know. Go ahead.
I decided last week that I'm going to start asking every guest this because I think it's a good question to ask people, and I think I already kind of know what your answer is going to be just based on our general conversation, at least in a direction. Our general plight in life. What is our purpose on this world? What should our mission be as human beings? Why do you think, not necessarily why do you think we're here? What do you think our purpose is on this earth? Maybe I could just summarize it to that question, Ben. It would
Yeah,
be
I think that's a good way to keep it nice and succinct. Like
the
through
general plight
through
in
your
life.
life experience and stuff, what do you think the human experience on Earth is? Like the purpose of our human existence and experiences.
Well, it's great you saved this for the end. Because very quick.
Honestly, Ben, I kind of forgot that we were doing this because our conversation has been so not anti this, but just a lot different than this
Yeah,
type
yeah.
of conversation. But at the same time, it's a great question to ask
Oh
people.
no,
you know?
it's great. It's a bong and a half.
Yeah.
It is.
It's one of those
yes.
you
And
then
it
you
does
kinda-
not
and
have
then
to
you-
be
and then you
detailed.
ask it.
It can
Right.
be as simple as a couple words. It can
Yeah.
be as detailed as a paragraph.
And then there's I'll be right back.
And we never heard from Duane
And
again.
that's been our podcast. Thanks for coming.
Nothing happens. Great notes. Great question. So, in one sense, I'm misinterpreting it. It's almost talking about the collective humanity of us all. I mean, as a species. There's the. I mean, are we going that broad?
I would say
However,
more succinct to like on a human personal level, like what is our general plight in life? And maybe as succinctly, if someone asked me this question, granted I've had a lot of time to talk about it because I'm the asker, would be like be as good to people as possible, would be like a short, simple answer for me. I would go deeper into the sense of all we can do to take care of each other, and what I view my general purpose in life to be is to be as kind to others and to help others along as much as possible. And that's for me, that's the best version of myself. What can I do to help someone else today, or what can I do to make our existence better, and then you could go the more deeper like philosophical route, which I don't think I would do. Like maybe a general Christian off the street would be like, love Jesus, or whatever. Would general plight in life.
Well, that's just eloquent what you said, and I of course just I'll just steal it.
Perfect. Perfect.
But no, respectfully, let me drill down into that one. I would say it's equally important to help people who haven't who need help, but may not be able to ask.
Mm.
Be accessible, which is kind of one of my favorite words.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the fact, even though it's been frightening from time to time, that I've had friends contact me when they were in really bad spots, and at least one of them said, "I knew you'd be the guy who could help me."
And that says a lot about you.
Yeah,
Be
for sure.
the guy who can help somebody. That they were whatever was going to whatever had happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It doesn't matter. You're just there.
drunken car accident and the overdose and the anything short of a body.
Right.
You know,
Bingo.
and that I wasn't going to judge, and who am I? But to be I just go back to be accessible. I think if you're that kind of person, you get that same kind of empath, and people feel comfortable enough to talk to you. Just be so. Really, I mean, you're just saying not just be there. I'm
Well,
really
but that's
ripping
a
you.
perfect
So
and different way to say the same thing, but it's also important because, like, when I clip these eventually someday and put them in a little montage, that's what I'll use, like the be accessible. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
think it's really cool. Part of why I want to ask people that question is I think it's really important, especially in our society today, for us to come together and figure out how we can help each other better. Because I don't know the question to ask because I just simply don't know the question to ask. I'm not walking in your shoes. So how like you just said, some people don't necessarily know they need help, or I don't know how to help someone because I'm just not walking in their shoes. I'm not struggling with that.
yeah.
So it's be accessible. Be the guy to call or the girl to call or the whatever. Yeah. Be the person
Be the person to call.
to call. Yep.
Be the person. And I mean, well, I guess a little. Some of that is the pay it forward notion. But it kind of takes it beyond that, because these you could get dragged into some very like uncomfortable things, and short of it being illegal or semi illegal. I think when you're just willing to risk yourself to help somebody else, and that's God. If everybody did that,
Right. In a perfect world.
And think of the times that you were down, and it's like, well, who did I call? Who did I feel comfortable enough to talk to?
Yeah, someone that you can be vulnerable with, and in return, they can be vulnerable with you.
Yeah, and this is not about wow, it's not about you.
Right.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not about me. And I think so often that is just people go right into like, well, you think you've got problems,
Yeah. Yeah. The worst type of people.
Just what?
Oh, you think that's trauma? Let me tell you about my trauma. Yeah.
It's the last thing the person needs at that point.
And look at so much of this like baloney on that blows up online. These these interventions gone bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really know what I'm looking at, but just people causing shit.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, it's just it's to be. It's not that difficult to be good to one another. It's just not. It's effortless unless you're an asshole.
Yeah. Yep. That's a great way to put it.
Some might argue it's actually harder to be an asshole because for most people, when you help someone else, it makes you feel good. There's that, thing there. So wouldn't you argue that being an asshole would make life worse because now you feel worse? I
And
don't
you've
know.
got to
I don't
put so
get it,
much
but
effort into just being a dick.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, well, and there's people who just enjoy that, and there's
Yeah.
too much of that going on.
Some people just want to watch
Sure.
the world burn, you know.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, if you're not the arsonist, you're the fire.
All right. Well, that
Well
was
put.
yeah,
Well
well
put.
put. It was a great answer
Very well
to
done.
that question. Once again, everybody, this has been Duane Scott Cerny talking to us about just his life selling dead people stuff, and it's been a great talk, a great podcast with lots of amazing stories and anecdotes.
Thank
Put
you.
around. So we
Plugs.
do truly appreciate you coming on and spending the time to talk with us. And that's not just one of those podcast host isms that we tell people. We do truly appreciate it.
That's right.
I'll be checking
100%.
that talk roster that was.
I will eventually put a whiteboard up and I'll just start ranking people's answers.
Yes.
So we'll be looking into that. That's
Yeah.
good.
For sure. But yeah, once again, appreciate it so much. Everybody else, thank you for spending part of your Sunday evening with us. And we'll be back next week. Another cool guest.
Hey,
next
hold
week.
on.
What's
we
up?
need plugs for Duane.
Oh, true.
Your website is sellingdeadpeoplesstuff.com.
Sellingdeadpeoplesthings.com. I have it in the description below.
Selling
Tonight
dead
was
people's things.
things.
Yep.
Yes, things, not stuff. Things.
Yep. It's
and
it is linked down below in the description. Duane's Instagram handle is also down there, as well as his TikTok is down there as well. So be sure to go check that out. He has
TikTok. I
two,
don't even do TikTok. Mate, do you do Instagram stories?
Yeah, he's got reels.
Yep.
Reels? Oh, sweet. All right.
Yep.
You're
All that
gonna
information.
follow tonight. I should have done that beforehand, but
John Waters Instagram that I had yesterday.
Uh-huh.
That's trying something a little new. Yeah, and then second book is vintageconfidential.com,
Mhm.
and that just came out. I will warn you though that the cover for Selling Dead People's Things is rather controversial, and
ooh, how so?
it's disturbing.
It's disturbing. I think you know what? I think I
Might
actually
not be
still have it
suitable
up here.
for all
Hold on a minute.
audiences.
No,
I'm about to. Yeah, here we go. It is kind of creepy, but I like it. So actually,
I
let me
think I
just.
saw it. Yeah,
I'm gonna
no,
share
I
the
definitely
screen
saw
real
it.
fast. So here we go.
I know what you're talking
I
about
wrote
now.
that down.
So there you go, guys. Right there is Selling Dead People's Things. Duane Scott Cerny. This is the website as well, but this is his first book, and then the second one is, and I bet you it's on here somewhere. If I go home, yep, right here. New book available. If it'll load, there you go. Vintage Confidential. This is the second one. So there's both of Duane's
That's
books.
so scandalous.
Super
also.
scandalous.
Yeah, what are those?
Bondage.
But yep. So
Ooh.
those are Duane's books. Once again, thank you for coming on this evening, and spending the the time to talk with us, as well as everybody else. We'll be back again next week. We have another super cool guest next week. If I'm not mistaken, it's the lady who had a near death experience.
Ooh.
I believe
It sure is.
So that's going to be a really interesting conversation to have with her and get her story, and then talk about that experience with her based off the background that Alex and I both have. So that'll be one you guys don't want to miss.
We've talked about this topic in the past, but now we're gonna have somebody who actually lived it, died it. Anyway.
But anyways, so that's going to be it for us for tonight, y'all. Again, just everybody have a great week, have a safe week, and like we tell you guys every week, and I did a poor job of hyping this up last week, but as always, like
make sure you tell somebody you love them. Okay, go out there and wrap your big old bear claws around them. Send somebody a text. Somebody that you've been thinking of, you're like, man, I should text that person. And do it right now. Pull up your phone, type that person's number. I'll wait. Go ahead. Pull up your phone. Find that person's contact information. Okay, perfect. Got him. Okay, now type ILOVEWOU.
W. We're spelling you with W's now, guys. YOU. All right,
Oh
y'all.
man, it's been a long day. Why? Yeah. Anyway, love you guys. Tell us what
Love you guys.
think.
We will see y'all next week.
Thank you, Duane.
Thank you.
Thanks.